Hello everyone, Bill Parish here with GTT Audio, and welcome to the channel today. Well, today we're at Rufus Smith's place from EnjoytheMusic. I have Joe Kubala from Kubala Sosna Cables.
Hi everybody, glad to be back.
Here with us as well, and yes, you've seen him on the channel before. And Joe and I have had some products here with Rufus for review, and Joe, why don't you tell everyone what you submitted for review?
Well, about a year and a half ago, I guess now, we introduced a new line of cables, our optimized 3 cables. You might remember our flagship was Realization in that series, and our cable just below Realization in the optimized 3 series, which falls just below Elation in the total line, is what Rufus has had here for, I guess, going on 6 months now to audition and you know, really get a feel for what they're doing for him and his system. So Sensation, Bill, is what's sitting here in the system.
Awesome. Well, I think the world of it. We've done shows together. Actually, we did a show 2 years ago at the Capitol Audio Fest, or maybe it was 3 years ago with COVID, who knows, I kind of lost a year somewhere in there. But we did it with the Humboldt, which I've got here on review, which we'll talk about in another episode. So Rufus, you got anything to say?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to welcome you back to Charlotte. It's good seeing both of you again, and good having you down anytime you can make it. As far as Joe's cable is concerned, this cable is just absolutely amazing. When we put it in the system, we basically started with one component at a time, going from power cord all the way up through the cables that not only the interconnects, but we did the digital cables, and the difference that I was hearing really stunned me. Everything, it was almost as if you had washed a window. It just opened everything up. It was clearer, more focused, but at the same time, everything was tonally correct, and it really wasn't adding anything to the sound, and it wasn't taking anything away from the sound. It was perfectly neutral. It was just open. That was my initial impression.
Yeah, well, I remember, and you had just finished up a cable review.
Right, I had.
So, you know, it was a little risky putting in new cables.
Mm-hmm. And, but the thing that amazed me also was, as we added each cable, it was like a layer of dirt had been removed with each cable, and that was very surprising to me.
Yeah, I find that with Kubala Sosna. I mean, it's got this incredible transparency.
Right.
You know, it's, but then I think it also brings a level of dynamics to the table that you haven't heard before, and how it lowers the noise floor, you know, which gives you that resolution and transparency. The quieter a cable is, the quieter any component is. I mean, it goes hand in hand. If you lower the noise floor, you're going to hear more. It's just that simple. Absolutely. If you're doing things right. There's people that attempt to lower the noise floor and they strip music away. Right. That's never a good thing.
Right.
Well, I got to say, I'm very comfortable hearing you guys mention those 2 specific things, dynamics and noise floor.
Yeah.
Because those were 2 very real goals for us as we designed the cables. Our entire line, beginning with Emotion back in the day, was built around keeping the noise out of the cables, which lowers the noise floor and allows for, you know, seeing deeper into the soundstage and into a performance, connect to the performance. But the dynamics are also a big part of that. Sometimes going for the noise floor, as you mentioned, steals dynamics from the system.
Yeah.
So to accomplish both at the same time, we're very proud to have done that.
Well, I think you guys hit the, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, I was gonna say that you hit the nail square on the head with that one. You were going to say?
No, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, you know, he nailed it was my term.
Yeah.
Yours was better, hitting the nail square on the head.
But,
Yeah, goal accomplished.
Right.
Our mission accomplished. Yeah, for
absolutely.
And you mentioned one more thing that we're proud of, and that is they are very, I'm going to avoid the word neutral because all cable manufacturers tend to use that word, but we're a very balanced cable. Not only do we have a general flatness to the sound, but we've avoided the peaks and the valleys and the highlights and the hot spots that might be easy to happen in a cable design.
I like the term natural better
Yeah.
than neutral.
There you go.
Yeah,
Right.
natural would
It's
be a
natural
good,
sounding.
would be a good,
But getting the noise out, or I said that wrong. That's what some other manufacturers claim, they take the noise out of the cable. But didn't you get a patent for keeping the noise out from the beginning? I mean, your geometry allows for the noise not to get in.
Basically correct. We have a couple of patents, which again we don't talk about because it doesn't really make a difference to your appreciation of the cables. But yes, the patents were basically around the things that would keep noise out of a system or out of a cable.
Awesome. Rufus, do you have any more questions for Joe?
one question I have is, I'm assuming that with each layer in the line that you're even with the lower end, and I really don't like that term either, but you can get a good idea of what your cables can do.
Well, yes.
And then as you go up, you're just getting more of the same thing.
That's a good way to say it. Let's say there's a Kubala Sosna house sound, if you will, and that speaks back to the naturalness that Bill mentioned before. So yes, every one of our cables exhibit that. We don't have a cable that we'd say, oh, that's a little darker, use it with solid state, or that's a little brighter, use it with tubes. No, all of our cables we feel have the same sound. So yes, Rufus, as we move up the line, the way I like to say it is we're just getting better. You know, it's still a balanced sound, it's still natural sound, but the dynamics increase ever so slightly. The noise background is a little quieter, the sound stage is a little wider, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all the way up the line.
What inspired you to go into designing and marketing cables?
The quick story there is it wasn't really me, it was my partner, Howard Sosna, Kubala Sosna. And Howard had been involved with cable design for about 3 or 4 generations on his own, just building cables for himself. And at one point, you know, inspired me to team up with him and create the company and try to make it a go. And I didn't think the world needed a new cable, to be honest, but after we started playing around with his most recent ideas, which led to Emotion, you know, I thought we had something. And so we started the company. And this goes back to 2002, 2003.
So 2002, 2003, you had Emotion.
We were developing Emotion. 2003, the second half of 2003, it became a fixed product.
A fixed product. And I'll tell you that people today still buy Emotion.
It's an unchanged formula.
No, it is phenomenal. I mean, now we talked about, and Rufus has this Optimized 3 Sensation cable, and Elation was Optimized 2, but the original products, Optimized 1, to use Rufus's term, hitting the nail on the head. I mean, it was, you drove it home right from the very beginning, and like, yeah, you know, I mean, I'm always placing orders for, it's for emotion.
Well, emotions-
along with all the other stuff as well. But
Emotion remains one of our top sellers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the original.
It's no less cable than it ever was.
And it's still a product. And
Yep.
this is something that we could praise you for, Joe. You're not a cable of the month. There's so many cable manufacturers out there that every single year they change their products. There's a Mark 1, a Mark 2, a Mark 3. Then it's this, then it's discontinued. It's this product, this product, this product. And when companies do that type of stuff, it's clearly marketing. Or they didn't know what they had right from the beginning. I mean,
Well,
I mean, you can improve like you did.
but that becomes a new product.
But that's a new product. And it doesn't mean the old product is no longer good. And there's also manufacturers that what you bought yesterday is crap and you need to buy what's here today. And that's not the case.
No, we don't release a new product until we feel it's what we need it to be. That's why,
Well, it's only happened twice in your history.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've only improved twice upon the measure
Yeah,
emotion.
yeah.
And they were 8 years apart.
I mean, Optimize 2 was a single cable, a new flagship. And then Optimize 3 or 4 SKUs, but
4 SKUs.
4 SKUs.
Well, actually 3, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
One is not part of the optimized
Optimize
family.
3, right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so 3 SKUs. But the other cables didn't go anywhere. And the other cables continue to be equal sellers. Yeah.
Originally it was imagination, anticipation, fascination, expression, emotion. Those are all still big sellers today. The same formulas.
Yep, yep. It's awesome.
Yep.
It's absolutely awesome.
They're current. Because being right is being right.
Yep.
One question I have, and it's a question that I get quite a bit from friends, is, okay, I've got a system and I want to focus on cables for that system. Where do I start? Do I buy a new interconnect? Do I buy a new run of speaker cable or a digital cable or what have you? But where is the best place to start when looking at cables for a
I'm going to
system?
answer that question 2 different ways.
Okay.
The first way is to say it depends what you now have in your system.
Right.
The weakest link kind of viewpoint would say, well, no matter what my general feeling is about where to start with cables, if I have a weak power cord or a weak interconnect in a certain position, then that's the place you start.
Mm-hmm.
But as a general statement, the place that I like to start when I'm looking at changing a system or improving a system step by step would be the source.
Yep. Always.
I would think about the interconnects or the cables from that source and the power cord for that source.
Mm-hmm.
And work my way out back to the preamp, if you will.
Right.
And then probably the speaker cables,
Mhm.
and then back to the other components.
Okay.
For my primary source.
That's how I recommend it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the source is so important. It really is.
I have always, and I have missed sometimes on the idea of going where the weakest link is in the system, with the idea of starting with power cords. If that's where your beginning is, because if you're not getting good power from the wall, you're basically paddling and going nowhere, in my opinion.
Well, that's true. Very.
And changing power cords can be a very powerful change in a system. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. But again, it's weak link.
Right.
Are you changing factory power cords out, or are you changing other? But the source, remembering the source is sort of the place I want to think about going first is a good thing.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Well, Rufus, thank you so much for inviting us down here. We had a lot of fun listening.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate all the insights that you've had. Can't wait for you to publish the review so we can read it and share it with all our clients. And
I'd like to echo that. Thank you for the
Yeah.
effort you've put in over the past now, what, 6 or 7 months?
That's right.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank both of you for giving me the opportunity to audition the products, and I absolutely love it when y'all do come down because even though I've been in this hobby for 30 years now, roughly, I still learn something from the two of you.
That's very kind. Thank you.
And it's very helpful for me, and I really appreciate that.
well, guys, you know what to do. Like it, share it, subscribe, comment below, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Take care, everybody.